The red sun of Kepler 442c cast long shadows across the rocky wasteland. Chief xenorchaeologist Vexstar Gnome adjusted his breathing mask and looked at the strange ruins before him. His forearms worked quickly, taking measurements and photos. The Zilithian had been digging on dead planets for 50 years, but he had never seen anything like this. "These stones should not be here," he said to his assistant, Kethmer. His voice crackled through the radio. "The dating shows 800 years old, but look at how they fit together. No gaps, no mortar, perfect cuts." Kethmer picked up a piece of metal from the ground. It was still shiny after all these years. "Sir, this metal, it does not rust, it does not break. What kind of people made this?" The Zilithian team had been working on this planet for 3 weeks. They came here looking for simple artifacts from a dead civilization. Instead, they found something that made no sense. The Galactic database said this planet had only basic life forms. No smart species, no cities, no technology. But the ruins told a different story. Dr. Lisa Carter stepped out of the transport ship. She was a human. Xenobiologist, one of the few humans working with the Galactic Archaeological Consortium. Her boots crunched on the dry ground as she walked toward the dig site. She had traveled for 2 weeks to get here after receiving Vexstar's urgent message. "Dr. Carter," Vexstar called out, waving 2 of his arms. "Thank you for coming so quickly. We found something that needs human eyes." Lisa looked around at the ruins. Stone buildings rose from the ground in perfect lines. The walls were smooth and straight. Some buildings were 3 stories tall. In the center of the settlement stood a tower that reached high into the thin atmosphere. "This is impossible," Lisa said, pulling out her scanner. "According to our records, humans never came to this system until 200 years ago. These ruins are much older than that. That is why we called you," Vexstar said. "We found organic matter in the buildings, DNA traces. They are human DNA traces." Lisa felt her heart skip a beat. "Show me." They walked into the largest building. The walls inside were covered with strange markings. Some looked like pictures. Others looked like writing. In the corner of the room, Kethmer had set up a small lab. Glass containers held samples of dirt and metal and other materials. "Here," Kethmer said, pointing to a container with brown powder inside. This was stuck to the walls. Very old organic material. When we tested it, the results were ... surprising. Lisa took the sample and ran it through her own equipment. The results made her hands shake. This is human DNA, but it's old. Very old. 800 years at least. Commander Jake Morrison's voice came through their radios. "All teams, we have a situation. The ground scans show something big under the main settlement. Something very big." Jake was the commander of the research. Vessel Horizon's Edge. He had been orbiting the planet, using deep scanners to map the ruins. What he found changed everything. "How big?" Vexstar asked. "The underground complex goes down at least 500 meters. It spreads under the entire settlement and beyond. The energy readings are, well, they're still active." Lisa, Vexstar, and Kethmer looked at each other. Active energy readings meant the underground complex was still working after 800 years. That was not possible with any known technology. They spent the rest of the day exploring the surface ruins. In each building, they found more evidence of human life. Tools that looked familiar, but were made from unknown materials. Furniture that was the right size for human bodies. Pictures carved into walls that showed people who looked exactly like modern humans. But the most shocking discovery came just before sunset out in the basement of the tower. Kethmer found a small room that had been sealed shut. When they broke through the wall, they found something that should not exist. Computer equipment. Not old, broken computers, but machines that looked advanced even by current galactic standards. Lisa ran her hands over the smooth surfaces. These interfaces ... They're designed for human hands, human eyes. But the technology is beyond anything we have today. Vexstar was scanning the computers with every tool he had. The materials are unknown. The power source is unknown. The computing method is unknown. How did humans build this 800 years ago? Jake's voice came through the radio again. Teams, you need to see this. I'm sending down the deep scan results. The holographic display showed a three-dimensional map of what lay beneath their feet. The underground complex was enormous. Hundreds of rooms connected by tunnels. Large spaces that could hold thousands of people. And at the very bottom, something. That made Lisa's breath catch in her throat. Are those ... living spaces? She asked. More than that, Jake said. The energy readings suggest life support systems, atmospheric processors, and something else. Something I've never seen before. That night, as they sat around their camp, Lisa stared at the data they had collected. Everything they knew about human history said this was impossible. Humans had only developed space travel 300 years ago. The first human colony ships had left Earth 250 years ago. The fastest ships of that time would have taken 500 years to reach this system. But the evidence was clear. Humans had been here 800 years ago. They had built a settlement with technology that was still beyond current galactic capabilities. And then they had vanished, leaving only ruins and questions. Tomorrow we go underground, Vexstar said. We will find answers. Lisa nodded, but she was not sure she wanted to know the answers. Some discoveries changed everything, and she had a feeling that whatever they found in the underground complex would change not just human history, but the history of the entire galaxy. The red sun set behind the hills, casting the ancient human ruins in darkness. But deep below, energy readings pulsed with a steady rhythm, as if something was waiting to be found, something that had been waiting for 800 years. The entrance to the underground complex had been hidden for 8 centuries. It took Jake Morrison and his engineering team 6 hours to cut through the sealed doorway. When the metal finally gave way, a rush of stale air escaped, carrying the scent of old machinery and something else. Something that reminded Lisa Carter of home. Breathable atmosphere, Jake reported, checking his instruments. Oxygen levels are good. Temperature is stable. Whatever systems are running down there, they're still working. Dr. Amy Rodriguez arrived on the second transport ship that morning. She was a human historian who specialized in ancient Earth cultures. Lisa had requested her help after seeing the writing on the walls. Some of the symbols looked familiar, but she could not read them. These markings, Amy said, studying the walls as they descended into the complex. They're not just one language. I can see Latin, Old Chinese characters, and something that looks like ancient Norse runes. But they're mixed together in ways I've never seen. The underground complex was vast. The first level contained what looked like workshops and laboratories. Tables and chairs sized for humans filled the rooms. Tools hung on walls, their purposes unclear, but their human design obvious. Everything was covered in a thin layer of dust, but nothing had decayed. Vexstar was amazed by the preservation. The atmosphere control systems are remarkable. After 800 years, everything looks like it was abandoned yesterday. Kethmer had been working with Amy to translate the writing they found. Dr. Rodriguez, look at this, he called from across the room. This wall has what looks like a date, but it cannot be right. Amy hurried over to examine the carved symbols. Her face went pale as she read them. This says year 1247, but that's impossible. That would be the 13th century on Earth. Humans were just learning to build stone castles then. What else does it say? Lisa asked. Amy ran her fingers over the symbols, reading slowly. It talks about Captain Rick Palmer and the ship Destiny's Call. It says they traveled from Earth to establish a new home. But Lisa, there's more. It mentions quantum drives and stellar navigation, technologies that didn't exist until 300 years ago. They found more writings as they explored deeper, personal logs carved into metal plates, technical manuals etched into walls, shopping lists written on pieces of advanced materials. All of it told the same impossible story. Humans had been living here since the 13th century, using technology that should not have existed. Engineer Tony Brooks was examining the power systems on the 3rd level down. "Commander Morrison, you need to see this," he called over the radio. "Jake." And Lisa found Tony standing in front of a massive machine that hummed with quiet energy. Lights blinked in patterns across its surface. The air around it shimmered with heat distortion. "This is the main power core," Tony said. "And it's running. On principles I don't understand. The energy output is enormous, but there's no fuel source that I can find. No reactor core. No solar collectors. It's like it's pulling power from empty space." Lisa scanned the machine with her equipment. "The energy signature is unlike anything in the galactic database. How long has this been running?" "Based on now wear patterns and the log files I found, about 800 years. Continuously, without maintenance." That afternoon, Amy made the discovery that changed everything. In what appeared to be the colony's central archive, she found data cores that were still active. When she connected her translator device, text began scrolling across the screen, faster than she could read. "These are daily logs," she said, her voice shaking with excitement. "Personal records from the colonists. Listen to this. Year 1251, day 127. Colony population now at 12,000. The children born here have never seen Earth. They call this place Haven Colony. Captain Palmer says we may never return home, and perhaps that is for the best." Lisa read over Amy's shoulder. "What does that mean? Why would they not want to return to Earth?" Amy scrolled through more entries. "Here's something from year 1289. The quantum tunnels are working perfectly. We can now travel between star systems in weeks instead of years. Dr. Marie Collins says we're 50 years ahead of the original timeline. Vextar examined the data cores with his most advanced scanners. These storage devices use quantum crystalline matrices. The information is stored at the subatomic level. The total storage capacity is. It would hold the entire knowledge of my civilization 1,000 times over." As the days passed, they uncovered more of the colony's history. The humans of Haven Colony had not just survived in space. They had thrived. They had developed technologies that made current galactic science look primitive. Consciousness transfer devices that could back up and restore human minds. Quantum computers that could predict the future with startling accuracy. Medical machines that could rebuild a human body from a single cell. But the most disturbing discovery was in the personal logs of the colony's leader, Marie Collins. "Listen to this," Amy said, her voice tense. "Year 1456, day 23. The deep space sensors have detected them again. The visitors from beyond the galactic rim. Captain Palmer was right to be afraid. We cannot let them find Earth. We cannot let them find the other colonies." The entries from Marie Collins grew more worried as the years passed. She wrote about strange ships at the edge of the system, about signals that came from empty space, about a decision that the Colony Council was struggling to make. Year 1461, day 156, Amy read. "We have made our choice. If they come looking for us, they will find only ruins. We go to the deep vaults. We go to sleep. May God forgive us for what we leave behind." The final entry was short and terrifying. Year 1461, day 200, The sleepers. Go into the deep dark. The automatic systems will wake us when it is safe. If no one wakes us, then we failed, and the galaxy is lost. Tell Earth we tried. Tell Earth we're sorry. Lisa looked around the empty rooms of the colony. They're still. Here, she whispered. Somewhere in this complex, the colonists are still sleeping. Jake's voice came through the radio from the surface. Teams, we have a problem. Long-range sensors are picking up movement at the edge of the system. Unknown ships, large ones, and they're heading this way. Amy looked at the final log entry. Again, the visitors from beyond the galactic rim, she said. What if they never left? What if they've been waiting? Deep in the lowest levels of the complex, machines that had been silent for 800 years began to hum with new activity. Warning lights blinked on ancient control panels. And in chambers that no living being had seen for centuries, thousands of sleeping humans began to stir. The awakening had begun. The 6th level down was different from the others. The walls were thicker here. The air felt heavy with moisture and the smell of recycled atmosphere. When Lisa Carter stepped off the lift platform, she could hear a sound that made her skin crawl. Thousands of machines breathing in perfect rhythm. My God, Tony Brooks whispered, shining his light into the darkness ahead. It's a city down here. The chamber stretched beyond their lights. Rows upon rows of crystalline pods lined the floor, each one glowing with a soft blue light. Inside each pod, Lisa could see the shadow of a human form floating in some kind of liquid. There are thousands of them, Amy Rodriguez said, her voice barely audible. How many people lived in this colony? Vexstar was scanning the pods with every instrument he had. The life signs are stable. Heart rates, brain activity, cellular regeneration. These humans are not dead. They are in some form of suspended animation. Jake. Morrison's voice crackled through their radios from the surface. Teams, we have a bigger problem. Those unknown ships? They're not just at the edge of the system anymore. They're moving in fast. Estimated arrival in 6 hours. Lisa approached the nearest pod. The face inside belonged to a woman who looked to be in her 30s. Her features were peaceful, almost as if she was simply sleeping. But the technology keeping her alive was beyond anything Lisa had ever seen. The suspension fluid, Tony said, taking readings from his scanner. It's not just preserving the body. It's maintaining cellular integrity at the quantum level. This woman could wake up tomorrow and be exactly as healthy as she was 800 years ago. Amy was studying the control panels near the pods. I can read some of this. It says emergency revival protocol and something about ... Oh no. What is it? Lisa asked. It says the automatic wake-up system is triggered by 2 things. Either a specific date that never came, or the detection of hostile visitors in the system. As if responding to her words, lights began flashing throughout the chamber. A voice spoke from hidden speakers, using ancient English, but clear enough to understand. Emergency protocol activated. Hostile presence detected. Beginning revival sequence for essential personnel. The blue glow in dozens of pods began to change to amber, then to green. Mechanical arms descended from the ceiling, connecting tubes and wires to the pods. The breathing. Sound grew louder as machinery that had waited 8 centuries finally began its work. We need to get back to the surface, Jake said through the radio. Now. Those ships are moving faster than anything in the galactic database. They'll be here in 4 hours. But it was too late to leave. The first pod was opening. Steam hissed as the crystalline chamber split apart. The woman inside sat up slowly, coughing and blinking in the sudden light. Her eyes were clear and intelligent. When she saw Lisa and the others, she spoke in perfect English. Status report, she said, her voice hoarse but strong. How long were we down? Lisa knelt beside the pod. 800 years, ma'am. We're archaeologists. We found your colony and 800 years? The woman pulled herself out of the pod with surprising strength. That's much longer than we planned. I'm Dr. Kevin Hayes, colony chief scientist. Where's Commander Stone? More. Pods were opening now. Men and women of various ages were sitting up, all of them alert despite their long sleep. They moved with purpose, checking on each other and activating control panels with practiced ease. A tall woman with short gray hair emerged from a pod near the center of the chamber. She wore the same kind of simple clothing as the others, but when she spoke, everyone listened. I'm Commander Lisa Stone, she said, looking directly at Lisa Carter. You're not from the colony. Are you from Earth? Yes, ma'am. I'm Dr. Lisa Carter. We're part of a galactic archaeological team, ... Galactic? Commander Stone's eyes widened. You mean other species? The Confederation actually formed? Before Lisa could answer, alarms began sounding throughout the complex. The ancient warning system was loud and urgent, designed to wake even the deepest sleeper. Dr. Kevin Hayes was at a control panel, his fingers moving over switches and displays with 800-year-old muscle memory. Commander, sensors show 15 large vessels approaching the system. Configuration matches Devourer scout fleets. The temperature in the chamber seemed to drop 10 degrees. Devourers? Vexstar asked. What are Devourers? Commander Stone looked at the alien with grim recognition. So they found other species after all. How many civilizations are in your confederation? 47 member species, Vexstar answered. But what are these Devourers you speak of? More colonists were waking up now. Hundreds of pods had opened, and the ancient humans were moving with efficiency that spoke of long practice. They activated. Systems checked weapons that had been stored for centuries, and prepared for something they had been expecting for 800 years. Dr. Hayes looked up from his instruments. Commander, the Devourers are using the same ship designs as before. Large, black, no visible weapons ports. But the energy signatures are much stronger now. Commander Stone turned to Lisa and her team. Dr. Carter, how advanced is your Galactic Confederation? Do you have quantum weapons? Consciousness transfer technology? Dimensional manipulation drives? We ... We have faster than light travel, Lisa said weakly. Some energy weapons. Basic computer systems. The colonists exchanged worried looks. Then, your confederation is helpless, Commander Stone said. The Devourers don't just conquer civilizations. They consume them. They absorb the knowledge, the technology, even the consciousness of every living being they encounter. And they've been growing stronger for 800 years. Amy stepped forward. But why did you hide? Why didn't you warn Earth about this threat? Dr. Hayes answered while continuing to work at his control panel. Because Earth was already working on a plan. We weren't hiding from the Devourers. We were waiting for them. This colony and dozens of others were established to study the enemy, to develop weapons, to be ready when they returned. Jake's voice came through the radio, tense with urgency. Unknown vessels have entered the system. They're not responding to any communication attempts. And teams ... They're heading straight for your location. Commander Stone walked to a wall display that showed the positions of ships throughout the system. The Devourer fleet was moving in a perfect formation, their black ships creating a web around the planet. How did they know to come here? She asked. We've been silent for 8 centuries. Dr. Hayes looked up from his work with a grim smile. Because we wanted them to come here, Commander. The awakening of this colony was always meant to be a signal. We're the bait. Lisa felt her blood turn cold. Bait for what? For the trap that Earth has been preparing for 800 years, Commander Stone said. The Devourers think they're about to consume another primitive colony. Instead, they're about to learn that humanity has been ready for them all along. Red lights began flashing throughout the complex as more systems came online. In the distance, Lisa could hear the sound of massive machinery starting up. Weapons that had waited 8 centuries to be used. The ancient war was about to begin again. Commander Lisa Stone led the group to what she called the War Room. It was a massive chamber filled with displays and controls that hummed with ancient power. Maps of the galaxy covered the walls, but they were not like any maps Lisa Carter had ever seen. These showed star systems, trade routes, and something else. Dark areas marked with symbols that looked like warnings. "Sit down," Commander Stone said. "All of you. What I'm about to tell you will change how you see the galaxy." Dr. Kevin Hayes activated a holographic display in the center of the room. It showed the galaxy 800 years ago, with thousands of bright points representing civilizations. "This was the galaxy when we left Earth," he said. 137 known intelligent species. Advanced technology. Peaceful trade between most systems. A golden age of discovery and growth. The display changed. One by one, the bright points began disappearing from the outer edges of the galaxy. Then the devourers came from beyond the Galactic Rim, Dr. Hayes continued. They didn't announce themselves. They didn't make demands. They simply arrived and began consuming everything they found. Amy Rodriguez watched in horror as entire sections of the galaxy went dark. How many civilizations did they destroy? They didn't destroy them, Commander Stone said grimly. They absorbed them. The devourers are not a single species. They are a collective consciousness made up of every intelligent being they have ever encountered. When they consume a civilization, they add its knowledge, its technology, and its people to their own collective mind. Vextar's forearms trembled as he realized what this meant. The Zilithian archives speak of the Great Silence. Dozens of civilizations that simply stopped communicating 800 years ago. We thought they had destroyed themselves in wars. They tried to fight, Dr. Hayes said. Every species tried, but the devourers learned from each victory. Every civilization they absorb makes them stronger, smarter, more advanced. By the time they reached the inner galaxy, they were unstoppable. The holographic display now showed only a few dozen points of light in the entire galaxy. Earth was one of them, along with a handful of other worlds. Earth's response was different, Commander Stone explained. Instead of fighting directly, we chose to disappear. We made it look like human civilization had collapsed. We scattered our people to hidden colonies throughout the galaxy and waited. Lisa felt sick to her stomach. You abandoned Earth? No, Dr. Hayes said firmly. We saved it. When the devourers reached our solar system, they found a planet with only primitive humans, farmers and villagers with no advanced technology, no space travel, no weapons worth taking. They scanned Earth, decided it was uninteresting, and moved on. But the people, Amy said, the billions of humans who stayed behind, were volunteers, Commander Stone said. They knew the plan. They knew what was at stake. They gave up their technology, their cities, their advanced civilization to save the human species. And they continued the charade for 800 years. Tony Brooks had been listening in stunned silence. Now he spoke up. But how? How do you hide an entire civilization's worth of technology? Dr. Hayes smiled grimly. You don't hide it. You scatter it. This colony wasn't just a hiding place. It was a research station. We spent 400 years studying the devourers, learning their weaknesses, developing weapons specifically designed to counter their technology. The holographic display changed again, showing the current galaxy. Many of the dark areas now had small, faint lights scattered throughout them. Every archaeological discovery your Confederation has made in the last 200 years, Commander. Stone said. Every ancient ruin from unknown civilizations. Most of them were human colonies, disguised to look like extinct cultures. Vextar's breathing apparatus clicked rapidly, a sign of extreme stress. The Corvin ruins on Epsilon 7, the crystal cities on Vega, Prime, the quantum laboratories on Wolf 359. Those were all human? Human research stations, Dr. Hayes confirmed. Each one working on different aspects of anti-devourer technology. Weapons, defenses, communication systems. For 800 years, humanity has been preparing for their return. Jake Morrison's voice came through the radio, tight with tension. Teams, the unknown ships have taken positions around the planet. They're not attacking, but they're jamming all communications. We can't reach the Confederation fleet. Commander Stone activated another control panel. They're scanning the planet, trying to understand what they've found. They remember this colony from their last visit. They're confused about why it's suddenly active again. How long before they attack? Lisa asked. They won't attack immediately, Dr. Hayes said. The Devourers are patient. They'll try to understand what they're facing before they commit to consumption. That gives us time. Time for what? Commander Stone smiled for the first time since awakening. Time for the other colonies to receive our signal. When this colony activated, it sent a quantum pulse to every hidden human settlement in the galaxy. By now, they're all waking up. She activated another display, showing the current positions of ships throughout local space. Red dots appeared scattered across multiple star systems, moving toward their location. The Devourer fleet consists of 15 ships, she said, each one the size of a small moon, carrying the absorbed consciousness of dozens of civilizations. They think they're facing one small human colony. How many humans are really out here? Amy asked. Dr. Hayes checked his instruments. 47 hidden colonies, each one with anywhere from 10,000 to 50,000 people in suspended animation, plus the research stations, plus the weapons platforms that have been waiting for 800 years. And the modern human government? Lisa asked. The Confederation members, who think they're only 200 years old, are about to learn the truth, Commander Stone said. Every human in Confederation space is about to receive a message explaining their real history and instructions for the final phase of the plan. The chamber shook slightly as something large moved through the complex above them. Ancient weapon systems were coming online, emerging from hiding places that had been sealed for 8 centuries. The Devourers made one crucial mistake, Dr. Hayes said. They assumed that when they absorbed a civilization's knowledge, they got all of it. But humans are very good at keeping secrets. Every species they consumed told them everything about human technology from 800 years ago. Technology we deliberately left behind to mislead them. Commander Stone pointed to the displays showing Devourer ship movements. They think they know how to fight us. They think they understand human capabilities. They're about to discover that they've been fighting the wrong war for 800 years. Alarms began sounding throughout the complex. On the displays, the Devourer ships were changing position, moving closer to the planet. They've made their decision, Commander Stone said. They're beginning the consumption process. Are we ready? Dr. Hayes asked. Commander Stone looked at Lisa and her team, then at the displays showing human ships moving throughout the galaxy. We've been ready for 800 years, she said. Let's finish this. The ancient war was about to reach its final battle. The message reached every human in Confederation space at exactly the same moment. From the farms of New Texas to the research stations orbiting distant stars, every human received the same transmission. It was simple, clear, and earth-shaking. The masquerade is over. Remember who you are. Lisa Carter watched in amazement as Dr. Kevin Hayes activated communication systems that had been hidden for 8 centuries. The screens around them filled with images from across the galaxy. Human. Faces she had never seen before, speaking from places that were supposed to be empty space. Colony 7 Alpha reporting full activation. Came a voice from somewhere near the galactic core. Weapons systems online. Population of 38,000 fully awakened. Research Station Omega, confirming quantum disruptor arrays are operational. Another voice added, ready to begin synchronized deployment. Deep Space Platform Zulu, acknowledging receipt of activation codes. Dimensional fold weapons are charging. Commander Lisa Stone stood at the center of it all, coordinating responses from dozens of hidden human settlements. Her 800-year-old authority was still absolute, and the awakening colonies responded to her commands without question. How many people are out there? Amy Rodriguez asked, watching the report stream in. 2.7 million humans in the hidden colonies. Dr. Hayes answered. Plus another 800,000 in the modern Confederation space, who are just now learning their true heritage. On Earth, the carefully maintained primitive civilization was dropping its ancient disguise. Farmers who had worked the land, with simple tools, were revealing underground bunkers filled with technology beyond anything the Confederation had ever seen. Villages that had existed for centuries were opening to reveal vast manufacturing complexes. Vexstar watched the transformation in stunned silence. The archaeological teams working on Earth, he said. They thought they were studying early human development. They were studying the greatest deception in galactic history, Commander Stone replied. Earth never lost its technology. We just hid it so well that even we almost forgot where it was. Jake Morrison's voice came through the radio from orbit. Commander Stone, the Devourer ships are beginning their approach. They're moving in the classic consumption formation. On the main display, the 15 massive Devourer ships arranged themselves around the planet. Each one was a kilometer long and black as space itself. They moved with the coordination of a single mind, which Lisa now understood they literally were. They're following the pattern they've used for 800 years, Dr. Hayes observed. Orbital containment, atmospheric disruption, then landing. Teams to begin absorption. They haven't changed their tactics because they've never needed to. That's about to change, Commander Stone said grimly. The first surprise came from beneath the planet's surface. Weapons that had been built into the planet's crust 8 centuries ago suddenly revealed themselves. The rocky surface split open in dozens of places, revealing massive cannons that fired beams of energy unlike anything in the galactic database. The Devourer ships reacted immediately, raising shields and returning fire. But their weapons, designed to overwhelm the defenses of civilizations they had studied and absorbed, had no effect on the human shields. Quantum reflection barriers, Dr. Hayes explained to the confused aliens watching. We spent 400 years learning how their weapons work. Our defenses are specifically designed to turn their own power against them. The second surprise came from the seemingly empty space around the planet. What the Devourers had thought was empty space suddenly filled with human ships. Vessels that had been waiting in dimensional folds, invisible to all sensors, materialized in perfect attack formations. But these were not the small, simple ships that humans were supposed to have. These were massive war machines, each one incorporating technology developed over 8 centuries of preparation. The flagship is the new Earth, Commander Stone said, pointing to the largest human vessel, built in the hidden shipyards of Colony Prime. Captain Sarah Walker commanding. Captain Walker's voice came through the communication system. Commander Stone, all fleets report ready. Phase 1 is complete. Requesting permission to begin Phase 2. Permission granted, Captain. Show them what 800 years of human ingenuity can accomplish. The battle that followed was unlike anything in recorded galactic history. The Devourers fought with the absorbed knowledge of over 100 civilizations, using weapons and tactics perfected over 8 centuries of conquest. But humanity fought with something the Devourers had never encountered before: strategies, specifically designed to counter their every move. Consciousness disruption fields activated, reported one of the human ships. The Devourers are having trouble maintaining collective coordination. Quantum tunnel mines deployed, came another report. 3 enemy vessels have been isolated in dimensional pockets. Lisa watched in awe as the human fleet demonstrated technologies that seemed impossible. Ships that could exist in multiple dimensions at once. Weapons that attacked not just physical matter, but the quantum structures holding it together. Defenses that turned the Devourers' own absorbed knowledge against them. How is this possible? Vexstar asked. Your species joined the Confederation only 200 years ago. You were barely capable of faster-than-light travel. Dr. Hayes smiled. We've had to be very good actors. Every human in Confederation space has been trained from birth to hide their true capabilities. We've been primitive farmers while building the most advanced technology in the galaxy. The tide of battle turned when the human ships activated what Commander Stone called the final protocol. Instead of destroying the Devourer vessels, they began to reverse the absorption process. We're not just freeing the absorbed civilizations, Captain Walker reported. We're separating them back into their original species. The Corvan consciousness is being restored. The Zilithian collective is reforming. On the displays, the massive Devourer ships began to break apart. But instead of explosions, they separated into thousands of smaller vessels. Ships from dozens of different species that had been absorbed centuries ago. Impossible, Vexstar whispered. The Corvans have been extinct for 800 years. They were never extinct, Commander Stone said. They were prisoners, and now they're free. The communication channels filled with voices speaking in languages that had been silent for 8 centuries. Species that the galaxy had mourned as lost were announcing their presence and their gratitude to humanity. Amy was reading the incoming messages with tears in her eyes. They remember everything. The absorbed species retain all their memories from before the absorption. They know what humanity did for them. The final Devourer ship, larger than all the others, made one last attempt to escape. But human ships surrounded it, not to destroy it, but to perform one final act of liberation. This one contains the original Devourer consciousness, Dr. Hayes explained. The species that started this whole cycle absorption 800 years ago. They were the first to be absorbed by their own creation. Are you going to free them too? Lisa asked. Commander Stone considered for a moment. They created this nightmare, but they were also its first victims. Yes, we'll free them. They deserve the chance to make amends for what they unleashed. As the last absorption was reversed, the galaxy filled with signals from species that had been silent for centuries. The Galactic Confederation, which had consisted of 47 member species, suddenly found itself representing over 200 civilizations. Tony Brooks was monitoring the energy readings from all the human technology being revealed. Commander, how long will it take to share this technology with the other species? We already have, Commander Stone said. Every piece of technology we developed during the 800-year preparation has been uploaded to the Galactic database. Transportation, medical technology, manufacturing, energy production. Humanity's gift to the galaxy. Jake's voice came through the radio, filled with wonder. Teams, you need to see this. Ships are arriving from every corner of the galaxy. Hundreds of them, and they're all flying human flags. On the main display, Lisa could see vessels from every hidden human colony converging on their position. But they weren't coming to fight. They were coming to celebrate. 800 years of hiding, sacrifice, and preparation had finally come to an end. What happens now? Amy asked. Commander Stone looked around at her awakened colonists, at the displays showing liberated civilizations, at the alien archaeologists who had accidentally triggered the galaxy's greatest revelation. "Now we go home," she said simply. "All of us. The masquerade is over. Humanity can finally stop pretending to be less than we are. And the galaxy can finally be what it was meant to be before the Devourers came." Vexstar approached Lisa with something like reverence. "Dr. Carter, your species sacrificed everything to save us all. How can we ever repay this debt?" Lisa smiled, feeling the weight of 800 years of secrets finally lifting from her shoulders. "By helping us build something better than what came before. By making sure that nothing like the Devourers can ever threaten the galaxy again." As the celebration began across the galaxy, and long-lost civilizations reconnected with each other, humanity finally took its place as the species that had saved them all. The greatest Decepti